Hello, my name is Payam, and I'm master student in data science and AI. Today, I'm delighted to speak with Philippe Omu, the CEO and co-founder of Crowdsec, an open source cybersecurity platform. Thank you for joining me today, Philip.
My pleasure, Payam.
Thank you. For starting, could you share what inspired you to create Crowdsec and what the core mission of the company is? I know we have just passed several years since its inception, but it would be a great idea to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, sure. I think what inspired us mostly to create the company with my co-founders is the fact that there is something missing, several things missing, several pieces missing in cybersecurity space when we started the company. The first one I would say is IDS is kind of overlooked lately. People are more using like EDR, XDR, but it's not really applicable to servers. It's applicable to users, it's applicable to workstations, but honestly, an XDR is not going to save you on exposed servers over the internet. Besides, you don't run that on cloud instances or containers. So, there is a lot that is unaccounted for, unwatched, unseen. So we wanted to have this, and there's a second thing that is not properly handled to date, which is the collaborative aspect of it, which is the crowdsourcing of this information. Why that? Because we are all coming from a pen testing background, red team pen test, so we know how to proceed to breaching companies, right? And the way we did it back in the days was always the same modus operandi, and we used a lot of IP addresses to actually scan, inject whatever we had to inject, find vulnerabilities, exploit CVs, and so on. We know for a fact, after the leaks of groups like Conti or things like this, that they operate on a small number of public IP addresses. Actually, it's a very scarce resource for them. It's really a precious resource. And the goal of Crowdsec, the mission of Crowdsec, is to burn those IP addresses, those cartridges, those vectors of infection for your infrastructure. So basically, we create a real-time map of all the IP addresses used by cyber criminals by making all our IDS, all our security engine working together. So anytime one is blocking an attack, is sharing this attack with us, the IP address with us, and we correlate that at the scale of our network, which is probably 250,000 servers nowadays. So we receive 10 million IOCs per day, and it helps us draw the map of the IP addresses used by cybercriminal and to broadcast block lists in return to our clients.
Good. Actually, ensuring that data quality and also reliability is crucial for any threat intelligence system. Could you please explain how Crowdsec maintains the integrity of data contributed by its users?
Yeah, so what we are talking about here is a problem known as Byzantine general problem. So it's also a problem that you can meet very often in blockchains. Like say, let's take the blockchain example, and I'll be back to our own example. So say someone goes to the Bitcoin blockchain and say, hey, you know what? I own 10 Bitcoins. Let's write this into the ledger. Well, the other members of the network may not agree with you, basically to simplify extremely the problem, and tell, yeah, no, I mean, this is not the majority opinion of the network, so you don't own 10 Bitcoin, you just own 10 Bitcoin in your dreams, right? The reality of the ledger is that you don't own 10 more Bitcoins. For Crowdsec, it's slightly comparable in the sense that the network is establishing a consensus. So before we're listening to your security engine, you have to have passed your 6 months quarantine time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And before an IP is added to any block list, it has to be seen by at least 50 different members of the network located in 50 very different space of the internet. We call it autonomous systems. And also, it has to not be part of our whitelist. For example, sometimes people are mistaking CDNs or VPNs or whatever, or some endpoints as being the nefarious or aggressive, or hey, what's more like a HTTP scanner than Googlebot, for example. So some IP addresses are voluntarily whitelisted so that you cannot shoot yourself in the foot. But basically, this is what we call the consensus algorithm. The network has to agree that this IP is currently dangerous before it's integrated into a block list. And when a network stops reporting it, then the IP is automatically removed from the block lists.
Good. And actually balancing the threat intelligence sharing with user privacy, as you know, is essential. So especially with regulations like GDPR, how does Crowdsec navigate to balance to protect user data while fostering a collaborative security environment, I mean?
Yeah, so the GDPR for us is extremely important. It's the regulation under which we operate as a European company. So let's simplify it for the audience. There are three main pillars here. The first one is like you have to collect the minimum amount of data. The second one is you have to keep it for the shortest amount of time necessary. And the third one is you have to allow people to modify or rectify whatever you have, or even forget entirely what their data is. So Crowdsec technically only collect one data that can be considered as private or personal, which is a public IP address. There are a lot of LEs here. The first one is that some IP addresses are considered public IP address, but not personal data. Some others are not. So for example, your personal fridge box at home as an IP address, and it's considered a private data because it's identifying basically you, if we want to. So these are treated specially. So we collect this only in the context of offering a service that would remediate dangers, right? The second thing is we only keep them for 3 months, and after we blur the IP address into a range. So say you have IP 100.200.50.1. Well, after 3 months, we would blur it into 100.200.50.0/24. So then after 3 months, and we could do it after only 1 year, right? After 1 year, but we do it after 3 months to be kind of ahead of the regulation. So then after 3 months, it's no longer one IP address, it's a range, and it's enough to render our service. And the second thing is, if it's correlated with a date, a timestamp, then it becomes a personal information. So we also blur the time range. So if something happened at 12:34 a.m., then we'll blur it after 3 months in between 12 a.m. and 1 a.m.
Thank you so much for sharing your insight today, Philip. It's been a pleasure learning and also talking with you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. I hope you could extract some value from that. And
for sure.
Yeah, but if it's that, I'm glad.
For sure. I'm going to share with you the details also in the future. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Thank you.